mundo y bienvenido a mi canal. Yo me llamo Sirey. Soy una abogada afro-latina licenciada practicando la ley criminal, pero como todos ustedes, a mí me fascina cuando estamos hablando de casos de crímenes reales. En este video vamos a hablar del caso de Emilie y Trigg Kiser. Si quieres más video en español, nada más dime allá abajo. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. I'm a licensed apprentice and Afro-Latina criminal attorney who, much like the rest of you, has a severe fascination with true crime cases. Listen, you guys, the video and the case we're going to talk about in the video for today is actually a case that I've already done a video on. But let me explain. I already recorded this video for you guys, and halfway through my edits of this video, I realized that I had accidentally turned my microphone off mid-video. So here goes to round 2. This is the case of the Kisers. In a day and age where everyone claims to be an influencer, I think that the Kiser family actually kind of really defines what it is to be one. Garnering multiple millions of followers on each platform, this family has done, I think, what a lot of people who are invested in social media and want to be creators aspire to do. Now, this case didn't result in any criminal charges being filed, but it did result in a criminal investigation. So I want to talk to you guys about it nonetheless. And before we get into the criminal investigation here, I think it's important that we know who exactly are the Kisers. Emilie Kiser was born on January 22nd of 1999 in Phoenix, Arizona. At just 26 years of age, Emilie has amassed an online empire, totaling more than 5.1 million TikTok followers, 2 million Instagram followers, and a little over 162,000 subscribers on YouTube. These numbers are monumental, and although I'm not personally familiar with Emilie Kiser, it seems like her content relates more around family, lifestyle, and family vlogging, I guess. Now, according to posts on Emilie's TikTok, Emilie and Brady met in August of 2018. Now, why is Brady so influential to this story? Because Brady is actually going to become Emilie's husband after a whirlwind romance that lasted a little over a year. The pair actually got married in November of 2019, when Emilie was merely 20 years old and Brady was merely 23. As you can tell by the ages I just told you, Brady's a little bit older than Emilie, but not really by much, just a couple of years, 3 to be precise. And since we're in 2026, this September, Brady will be turning 30. Depends on your definition of quickly, but for purposes of this story, I'm going to say quickly. The pair's family quickly expanded, with them welcoming their first son, Trigg, in July of 2021. 4 years later, and in March of 2025, the pair welcomed their second son, Theodore. The best way I can describe this case is a tragedy of monumental proportions, and this happened on May 12th of 2025. Emilie was out running errands with her friends, just enjoying her time to herself, and Brady was watching their sons, at which point their son Trigg accidentally drowned in the family swimming pool. There was substantial coverage on this case, but ultimately, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office declined to pursue charges against Brady Kiser for the unfortunate drowning of his son. In a press release posted on the Maricopa County Attorney's website on July 25th of 2025, they stated, Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell announced today that Brady Kiser will not be charged in the drowning death of his son because there is no reasonable likelihood of conviction. Earlier this month, the Chandler Police Department submitted the case for review, recommending that Kiser be charged with 1 count of child abuse, a Class 4 felony. Kiser was home alone with his 2 children when his 3-year-old son, Trigg Kiser, drowned in the family's backyard pool in May of this year. Surveillance video from outside the home showed how the drowning occurred and the actual timeline of events. In order to convict a person of this charge, the state has to prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, to a unanimous jury that the person failed to perceive a substantial and unjustifiable risk, and that failure to perceive the risk was a gross deviation from the standard of care a reasonable person would show. Every case submitted to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office is evaluated using the same standard, whether there is a reasonable likelihood of conviction. After careful review of the evidence submitted by Chandler Police Department, it was determined this case does not meet that standard. Maricopa County Attorney's Office's review of the case involved the attorneys assigned to it, along with highly experienced senior attorneys and the county attorney herself. Given a court order, no additional details can be discussed at this time. So you guys, let me just stop right there and let me tell you this. When I first heard about this case, I was absolutely furious. I was furious. And when I heard that the county attorney's office was declining to press charges in this case, I was enraged. I was absolutely enraged. Subsequent to that, and subsequent to my feelings, I saw that the Chandler Police Department's police officer reports was made public, and I read them. And before I go any further on my opinions on their decision not to press charges in this case, I want us to go through those police reports together. As you guys can see at the top of the report, this says Chandler Police Department General Offense Report, Death Investigation, and the GO number is cited as CH 2025-58064. A GO number merely is a specific number that is associated with any police investigation or police case. Whenever you see a police report, it is common that you will also see a GO number, and in other counties or jurisdictions, it is also common for you to see any sort of identifying number associated with the police report. That's how they distinguish them. At the top of the page, it says narrative text. Type narrative, subject narrative, author, Tyler Shank, badge number 889, related date is May 13th of 2025. The time, let me do some math here, is 5:18 p.m. And at the top it says Axon body-worn camera footage exists for this incident report. The narrative states as follows. On the date of May 12, 2025, at approximately 6:40 p.m., Chandler police were dispatched to the report of a drowning incident at the location of the Kiser home in Chandler, Arizona. The original call notes indicated the reporting party's son was in the pool. Call notes further advised the son was unconscious and not breathing. The son was reported to be 3 years old. The reporting party was advised to open the door for responding officers. Call notes indicated compression instructions were being given. Upon being dispatched to the call for service, I immediately initiated my emergency lights and sirens on my fully marked patrol vehicle and began to expeditiously drive to the incident location. Officer Jalomo, number 940, and I arrived on the scene at the incident residence at the same time and immediately ran towards the front door. A male would open the door for officers and then run inside. As I entered into the residence, I observed a small male toddler lying motionless on the ground in between the couch and the bar stools in the living room. I would immediately run over to the toddler, who appeared to have a lack of color in his skin and was unconscious. The toddler did not appear to be breathing, and I also observed a large wet spot on the ground around the toddler. I also observed what appeared to be vomit on the ground around the head region of the toddler. Upon reaching the toddler, I immediately began giving chest compressions to the toddler. The male on the scene who let the officers inside was extremely distraught. The male subject would go and pick up an infant baby while I continued to give compressions to the unconscious toddler. Officers attempted to garner further information about the incident from the male. Officers were able to receive that the male subject had last seen the toddler approximately 5 minutes before the incident. While continuing to provide emergency aid, I observed the throw-up on the ground around the toddler's head and requested Officer Jalomo to verify if the toddler had an obstructed airway. While continuing with emergency aid, I ascertained that I had potential further medical equipment in my vehicle that could possibly be of assistance. I coordinated with Officer Jalomo to transfer giving chest compressions while I returned to my patrol vehicle. I traded out with Officer Jalomo, who began providing chest compression to the toddler, and ran to my patrol vehicle to obtain further medical equipment. Upon returning inside, it was advised that Chandler Fire and my supervisor were arriving on the scene momentarily. While working through the equipment I obtained, Fire arrived on scene, so I redirected to outside to guide the fire department to the toddler. As Fire entered into the residence, I provided firefighters with the information obtained and observed while providing emergency aid to the toddler. I would then return inside the residence and clear out material belongings and furniture to provide Chandler Fire with a workspace. I was directed to get a towel for the firefighters, so I went to the nearest bathroom and provided Chandler Fire with one I located in a nearby bathroom. By this time, my supervisor arrived on scene as well as other assisting officers. As other assisting officers took over the scene, I was advised to exit the residence by my superiors. I would then convene with my supervisors and provide a synopsis of the incident and the information obtained on the scene. A short time later, the toddler was transported by medical professionals away from the scene to Chandler Regional Medical Center. I remained on scene to provide assistance to other officers until I was relieved by other Chandler police officers. I was provided information by assisting officers that the identity of the father is a Brady, and then the last name is blurred, but we obviously know it's Kiser, which was confirmed through MVD records as the subject on scene when I arrived. The mother of the child was advised to be a Emilie Henrichsen. After being relieved of my duties on scene, I would conclude my current involvement in the incident. Other assisting officers would continue with their involvement in the incident and conduct follow-up as advised of. You guys will see at the top of this report, it's a supplemental by an officer named Michael Rietz, and his badge number is 846. You can see at the top that this is actually a detective, and he works in the robbery and homicide unit of the Chandler Police Department. The conversation with Brady was audio recorded using my Axon body-worn camera. I asked Brady to tell me about his whole day, starting from when he woke up. The following is a summary of Brady's statements, not an exact transcript. The interview has been uploaded to evidence.com. Brady woke up at 7 a.m. and made breakfast for one of the children before taking him to school. He stopped on the way home and picked up coffee for himself and for Emilie. After getting home, Brady went to the gym for a workout. He then did some stuff around the house before it was time to pick up his son. Around 2:15 to 2:20 p.m., Brady left to pick up his son and stopped at McDonald's on the way home. They arrived back home at 4:30 p.m., and the four of them spent time at the house until Emilie left at 6 p.m. to go out with friends for the night. After Emilie left, Brady made one child's dinner as he fed the other child a bottle. One child finished his dinner and went into the backyard. Brady was sitting on the back of the chair that pointed out to the backyard out through the back windows because while he was holding the child, he wanted to be able to see the other child. The child, and I'm just saying the child because I'm reading it verbatim, but I'm assuming this is Trigg, was seen in the grass area of the backyard near a blow-up slide playhouse, and Brady saw him walk from that area in the grass up on the elevated portion where the hot tub was at. That was where I had seen him last. After seeing Trigg near the hot tub, Brady thought that he went and got a drink. He then went back to see where Trigg was at. Brady then went outside and saw Trigg in the water. He laid Trigg on the ground, took his shirt off, and dove in the pool. After pulling Trigg from the pool, Brady carried him inside and laid him on the ground. There he started CPR, including breathing into Trigg's mouth. When he did that, Trigg vomited water and food. Brady said that his CPR activity and calling 911 all happened in the same moments. When the police arrived, they took over CPR. Brady went outside, picked up his other son, and was thoroughly freaking out. After Trigg left in an ambulance, Brady gathered a few things and then went to the hospital in a fire truck. I clarified that Brady knew Trigg was outside. He told me when he got up from eating to go outside, I said, okay, I was aware of it. Brady again mentioned that he was watching out the back window and said, I didn't have a clock, obviously. I don't know the exact time, but it was moments. It wasn't minutes, it was moments. It wasn't that he had been out of sight for long. I asked Brady about the 5-minute statement he made to patrol on the scene. He said that he's told different people 3 minutes or 5 minutes, but wasn't sure the exact timing, and it wasn't very long. Brady and I discussed the layout of the backyard, the elevated hot tub, and where Trigg was found in the pool. He described finding Trigg in the water below the elevated hot tub and diving across the pool to get him. It became clear that this elevated area around the hot tub is a common spot for Trigg to play, and he plays in the backyard often. Brady said there were toys in that area, and Trigg plays in the backyard all the time throughout the day with us all day. He goes out there with the dogs, he's in and out. It's what he does. Brady described a pool cover the family has, but he didn't put it on the pool because the pool service company was coming at noon on Tuesday, so he was planning on putting it on after the service. This claim about the pool service was inadvertently verified by Detective Duncan and I on Tuesday, May 13th when we were at the residence. The pool service was there servicing the pool. I asked Brady what he thought had happened, and he said, I think just that he was playing out back, he was wandering and playing about like he does and must have slipped, I think it was an accidental that he had fallen into the water, obviously because he knows he's safe, he knows he's not supposed to go around it. We talked about the surveillance cameras on the exterior of the house. Brady identified them as HIC cameras, a manufacturer of surveillance cameras. How best to obtain the surveillance video was unknown that night, but Brady speculated that his surveillance company had remote access for the archived video. Detectives then spoke to Emilie. Emilie stated that she left to meet friends at a taco place about 20 minutes from their house. She remembers arriving at the restaurant at 6:32 p.m. because she was a couple minutes late. Brady called her and was inconsolable, but told her I needed to come home and that Trigg had fallen into the pool. Emilie immediately left and her friend drove her to Chandler Regional Medical Center in Emilie's car. She then flew in the helicopter to PCH with Trigg after they got him stable. Now, before we get any further into this story and just my opinions on the charging decisions as a whole, let me give you my opinions on what we just read in the officers' narratives, as well as the statements of both Brady and Emilie Kiser. The first officer that we discussed was Officer Tyler Shank, and what struck me most about Officer Shank's statement was the fact that he described Brady as extremely distraught. I put that in quotes because that's a direct quote of what he said in his narrative. But more so, I'm just trying to figure out what parent wouldn't be in a situation like this. That's not to discredit anyone's feelings. I just think the necessity of mentioning it in a report was just, I don't know. Maybe it bodes well for the decision not to charge Brady in this case, but the fact that it was mentioned is interesting. Now let's talk about the narrative of the detective that included statements from both Brady and Emilie Kiser. What I found kind of interesting in that statement was the fact that Brady told the detective that he didn't put the pool cover on the pool because the pool cleaning service was going to be later servicing the pool and he was going to put the pool cover back on the pool after. That's not the most interesting part to me, but I think what's interesting to me is the fact that in parens, following that statement, the detective was like, yeah, I inadvertently verified this claim because the pool cleaning company was over while I was at the house. So that's another interesting thing. So just keep that in mind. Now I want us to go a little bit further because the same detective that spoke to Emilie and Brady Kiser furthered his investigation into this case. And I just want to talk about his findings. As you can see here, this says Second Investigative Supplement, and it has the same detective's name, Detective Michael Rietz, and that's badge number 846. A search warrant was written to Apple Inc. for the iCloud account related to the phone number, and it lists the phone number. Another one was written to Verizon for the same number. Another was written to DraftKings based on information obtained from Verizon. The phone number in question was identified by Brady as his cell phone number on May 12th. The search warrant to Apple was submitted to the company on June 11th. Apple returned a significant quantity of data from the iCloud account associated with the phone number. One account was identified by Apple ID and had its iCloud settings set to backup with a retention of forever. This account had a recorded creation date of December 25th of 2012, and the following features recorded. The extraction of the data indicated that there was 7,235 chats and 28,599 instant messages recorded in the data. However, the last message recorded in the data was on May 6th of 2025. Photos were recorded on May 7th, 8th, and 9th. The only data recorded in the iCloud account after May 9th were calendar entries. The only recorded data on May 12th was a calendar entry, take out recycling. Calendar entries continue until May 28th, and after that date, no data is available. A second iCloud account was returned based on the phone number provided in the warrant. This second account identified by Apple ID with the phone number with a creation date of May 6th of 2025. The following features were recorded on this account. The only data returned with this number was a log of messages but no message content. The log starts on May 18th and continues through June 11th. Other than the calendar entries, no data for May 12th was found on either account. A preservation request was sent to Verizon on May 14th, and a search warrant was submitted to the company on June 11th. Verizon returned data for activity on May 12, 2025 concerning the listed phone number. The account owner was identified as Emilie Gamble Henriksen with 2 emails. The effective date was listed as December 28th of 2023. Verizon returned both short message services, or SMS, and multimedia message services, or MMS data. There were 16 SMS messages recorded and 2 MMS messages recorded on May 12th. The last message in the data was 5:01 p.m. Verizon captured content for a few of the SMS messages. At 4:31 p.m., the device received a message from 41479 with the following content. Your DraftKings verification code is 666938. The basketball game on television when officers arrived was game number 4 of the NBA playoff series between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Brady mentioned this game in the first interview and was specifically asked about his interest in the game during his second interview. The broadcast for that game had a listed start time of 4:30 p.m. Arizona time, according to open source records. The Verizon records showed a correspondence with online sports betting company DraftKings very near the start of the broadcast. Blank was written for clarification of Brady's activity with DraftKings on May 12th. The search warrant was submitted to DraftKings on July 7th, and they responded with 2 electronic files on July 11th. Specifically, 2 Microsoft Excel files were received from the company. The first file, titled Copy of Blank 5/12/2025 Wagers, contained a single line. It indicated that a $25 wager was placed on Jason Tatum scoring more than 40 points. That wager was a winner, paying $102.50. This wager was placed at 8:14 Eastern Time, which would have been 5:14 Arizona time. The 8:14 time stamp is listed in the file without a time zone identifier. I emailed Melissa Hogan, who's the senior paralegal with DraftKings, asking her about the time zone for the entry. She confirmed that it was 8:14 Eastern Time in an emailed response. Now, the reason I read that to you guys is because when I first discovered this story, there was a lot of misinformation online stating that Brady was sports betting at the time that Trigg had passed away, and that's just inaccurate. If you'll notice by the times that I read to you, officers were called out to respond around 6:40 or so p.m. local time. Brady had placed a bet around 4:30. So this was approximately 2 hours before the drowning had occurred. I am just pointing that out to you guys to say it does not appear that there was anything that the officers were able to identify that was to state that he was distracted or otherwise busy, and something that prevented him from fully watching Trigg. Under circumstances likely to produce death or serious physical injury, any person who causes a child or vulnerable adult to suffer physical injury, or having the care or custody of a child or vulnerable adult who causes or permits the person or health of the child or vulnerable adult to be injured, or who causes or permits a child or vulnerable adult to be placed in a situation where the person or health of the child or vulnerable adult is endangered, is guilty of an offense as follows. If done with criminal negligence, the offense is considered a Class 4 felony. Under Arizona law, criminal negligence means, with respect to a result or a circumstance described by a statute defining an offense, that a person fails to perceive a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the result will occur or that the circumstances exist. The risk must be of such a nature and degree that the failure to perceive it constitutes a gross deviation from the standard of care that a reasonable person would observe in the situation. Now that we have all the information out of the way, I'm going to give you my opinions on the charging decision in this case, or the lack of charging decision in this case. When I first came across this case, as I told you guys, I was enraged. I was saddened. I was heartbroken. I was mad. I looked at everything and I said, how on earth could the prosecutors not charge this man? And I understand that it was accidental and it was a mistake and it just was an unfortunate series of events and an unfortunate circumstance. But I just felt that there was such disregard on behalf of the prosecution for not charging him. That said, none of us are infallible. And after reading through all of the documents that I read to you, and after going through everything, the police reports, the statutes, the violations, the statements, the evidence, everything that was gathered, I think that they made the right decision in not charging Brady. I think it would have been almost impossible for them to prove that he deviated from the standard of care that a reasonable person in the same situation would have done or would have acted. I say that to say, they had a pool cover, and the pool cover was off of the pool merely because the pool service company was coming to clean it. The detectives on the scene were able to inadvertently verify that claim because the pool service company showed up as they were there. There was no evidence that he was being negligent, i.e., there was no evidence that he was sports betting or he was otherwise distracted when he should have been watching his son. I think that this case, this investigation is tragic. It's mind-blowing. It's going to live with Emilie and Brady forever. But I don't think it was a criminal charge that should have been made. But those are just my opinions, and that is it for this video. So you go ahead and let me know anything it is you want to let me know down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care.